love something, you fucking let it go and you let the energy run through your body like it's a water running through a pipe. When you resist something, you clog the pipe up. So the water still flows, it just takes a little bit more time. That's why watching videos like this are really important. That's why working with me, for example, or just fucking working on yourself is really goddamn important. Hello, welcome to another fabulous episode of you watching videos on the internet. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to deal with rejection. Now, just as a quick thing, if you're new to this channel, hey. If you're old to this channel, hey. But more specifically, if you're old to this channel, I'm going to be opening up this channel to more wider topics, because if there's anything I've learned in 2019 when I took a bit of a hiatus, and if there's anything I've learned throughout my fucking entire career as a dating and life coach, is that it's all fucking intermingled. It's how we deal with emotions. Now, generally speaking, I often find that when it comes to talking about rejection, it's always just about emotions, right? So it's like some people might say, oh, how to deal with rejection? Go for a walk. How to deal with rejection? Get your hair changed. How to deal with rejection? But rejection, just like other kinds of emotions, comes in different varieties. There's romantic rejection, sexual rejection, social rejection. There's rejection of where you are potentially rejected for a job, for example. So it does come in a variety of different ways. Now, when you're watching this video, I want you to keep a kind of rejection in mind that maybe you're struggling with, or maybe you're not. If you don't struggle with rejection, what the fuck are you doing here? Get out of here. There's plenty cat videos for you to watch. But rejection, it's very interesting, because if you've ever spent a while just observing the human creature, which I'm sure you have, is that you will notice, and you may have done this, I've definitely done this. There is a phrase that it's really interesting to hear people say this, and you'll hear people say it all the fucking time if I'm the first person to point this out to you. But there's a phrase that people say when they're dealing with an emotion that they're uncomfortable with. And rejection, the feelings that come with rejection, are emotions that we can, or some people might be uncomfortable with. And learning to be a bit more comfortable with those feelings can be a fucking tremendous way to deal with the variety of different kinds of rejection, right? So the phrase that people say is, I just hate feeling this way. I just hate feeling this way. They're resisting a feeling and they are adding extra meaning to it. So for example, someone might feel like they are rejected socially. They're like, but I hate the feeling of no one liking me. Or I just don't like it when I say something and it's not received in the right way. Or I hate the feeling of applying for a job and not getting a response. They might not just say this about rejection. You know, for example, I hate feeling guilty. I just don't want to feel guilty. And it's usually these people who say these things, and I fucking say it all the time too, right? But it's usually these people, when they say stuff like this, they generally attack the person, or feel like, not in all cases, but in some cases, they feel like the person who made them feel that way is the reason. Like, I hate feeling guilty. Why did you make me feel guilty? If that is their way of dealing with emotion, if they're an attacker when they feel uncomfortable, well, that's generally going to be how they get around it, right? So, how do we get better at dealing with rejection, right? How do we get better at dealing with rejection? Do we get rid of it? Do we just become a master of it? Well, here's the fucking thing, right? So, if you know anything about my story, look, in the past, I think I've said stuff like, you know, it was after a breakup that I decided to be a dating coach. But with retrospect, and a lot of healing on my own behalf, I've discovered that, honestly, that was the case, but it also wasn't the case. It was the case because after the breakup, fucking, I don't know, forever ago, I don't even know the amount of years now, it was like, oh, I'm gonna never get rejected again, all right? But also, I realized the entire time I was always leaning towards being a dating and life coach. Like, it's like when you find what you want to do with your life, you realize it was always pointing towards that, and I think that's really fun. But the thing is, so the first part of my journey was I learned all about what to say, what to do, right? And you can do that. You can do all of that. You can try and learn every little trick of the trade, but there are still going to be more things to learn. And so there is a little bit of comfortability with rejection that is required. A little bit of comfortability with the unknown, with things that we fight against. So I'm going to say this, and it's really funny because I said this to someone the other day and she did not fucking like it. But this is what happens, and this is the best way to get past rejection. I haven't watched every other video on YouTube to be like, oh, but there are some good reasons, and everyone's got their own way, right? So everyone has their own way. But this is the stuff that I teach, this is the stuff that works for me, this is the stuff that works for the people that I connect with, and that's falling in love with rejection. Can you fall in love with rejection? Can you fall in love with it? Can you find pleasure in it? It doesn't mean throwing yourself under the bus. It doesn't mean intentionally seeking out rejection. But can you fall in love with rejection? So when we say fall in love, what we actually mean is accept. Can you accept that rejection exists? Can you enjoy it a little bit? Can you see it as part of the process? It's really interesting because in some areas of our life, we're completely okay with rejection. You might hear this and be like, I already do that. If you do, fantastic. That's my job as a coach. More often than not, when I'm working with people, they're doing everything right that they could do in relationships, but it's really common for them to do it in their workplace. You know what I mean? That's why I become more expansive to become a life coach, as well as a dating and relationships and all that kind of stuff. Because these fucking people, right? You fucking guys, you're like, oh, but I can't do this, it's too direct. But you'll be equally as direct in your work life, And so it's my job as the coach being like, oh, if you deal with jerks who do this to you, or like, for example, ghosting, right? If someone ghosts you at work, what do? You're like, you follow them up, you do this, you do that. It doesn't fucking matter. Because in the work paradigm, it's a bit safe. But in the work paradigm, you're a bit comfortable with rejection. Maybe some people watching this video might not be, I don't fucking know. So it's really interesting to observe that there are some areas of our life where we are comfortable with rejection. We love it even. And I say love because when you love something, when you truly love something, you fucking let it go and you let the energy run through your body like it's a water running through a pipe. When you resist something, you clog the pipe up. So the water still flows, it just takes a little bit more time. That's why watching videos like this are really important. That's why working with me, for example, or just fucking working on yourself is really goddamn important because you clear the pipes. Then there becomes very little response time between what you want and what you desire and what you create. There's very little response time because there's very little resistance. Energy, fucking cosmic energy, all this crap, if we're going to get spiritual about it, has no resistance. That's something my mentor used to say to me and I was really annoyed. I don't fucking get that. But, I'd clear something within myself. I'd clear the pipes. I'd love something, love rejection, love pain, love something. And then I clear the pipes, let the energy flow. And within 1-2 days, my universe has shifted. So that's what this is about. So learning to love rejection is not a carry-all, fix-all thing. It's not a thing that will, as soon as you love rejection, suddenly all rejection is solved because it comes in different varieties. That's a really important thing, You can get really good at social rejection, but as soon as you're potentially about to be sexually rejected, it's really fucking painful. But then we come back to this idea. You go, what did Sharam say? Oh, glorious, glorious Sharam! What did that fucking jerk say? He said, fall in love with rejection. Fall in love with it. At least become a little bit more comfortable with it. Or at the very least, become a little bit more tolerant of it. Because if you're tolerant of rejection, if you're like, yeah, it's fine. You don't even have to say, yeah, it's fine. It's when you have truly fallen in love with rejection, it's not on your mind. You're okay with it happening. You're okay with it not happening. That's the power of it. Remember, that's the fucking power. You're okay with it happening. You're okay with it not happening. Therefore, you let your authentic self fucking shine forth. This is why whenever I'm coaching people on self-esteem, I don't necessarily worry too much about what it looks like. When I'm coaching people with relationships, I don't worry too much about what relationship they're going to get. They will get the relationship that's perfect for them. We just have to clear the goddamn pipes. Let the energy fucking flow. So what do? We pay attention. Step 1, pay attention. Pay attention to what you feel you might be rejected from, or what you feel that you are avoiding because you're worried about rejection. What negative feelings are you avoiding? Step 2, pay attention to your reaction. You go, oh, I don't like that. Oh, no, I don't want that. No. Oh, I'm going to get rejected. I'm scared. Oh, no. Because that's sometimes what it's a bit like, right? Step 3, we can break it down by loving our reactions. So we don't have to accept the whole thing, because sometimes it's like eating a cookie all at once. You can't fit it in your mouth and you probably choke. As great as the cookie is, you'll die. So what do? We break it down. We break it down to our reactions. We pay attention to our reactions to the things, and we can fall in love with those individually. We can fall in love with the individual reactions that we have. So if, for example, you're afraid of rejection because, say, you're in a social situation, right? And there is a cute person you want to speak to, but you're just a little bit too afraid of doing it. And you're afraid because you're afraid of getting hurt. Let's just say, it's a very surface level, because this shit goes fucking deep, especially when we work together. You'll see how deep the rabbit hole goes. It's very fun. If you're open to it, because not everyone wants it to be that deep, but if you're open to it, can be. So you might be like, oh, I'm afraid of getting hurt. So you go like, okay, in your head you can be like, oh, well, what would happen if I was in love with being hurt? Well, if you love with being hurt, you probably wouldn't be so fussed about if you did get hurt, because that would be just as nice of a bite of a cookie as biting the cookie that you wanted, which would be talking to that person, maybe going on a date, connecting with them, all the stuff our brain is like, oh, that's what I want. So you would open yourself up to that because you are not resisting both ends of the spectrum. So when you're not resisting both ends of the spectrum, you can choose the whole spectrum and you're okay with it happening. Now, the reason why I say this goes deep is because sometimes when we're a bit too worried about stuff, it's actually because of something we don't fucking know. When I'm working with people, what I love pointing out is that when they have this breakthrough realization, it's usually nothing what they thought about. It's like, oh my God, I'm afraid of like say sales, when I'm coaching people in sales, because it happens. It's the same thing. It's the same fucking thing. They're like, I'm afraid of pushing too hard because I don't want to miss out on the sale, right? So say that's a common example, or I really feel like I need to get them. Let's just use that first example. I'm going to miss out on getting the sale, right? Then they realize once we go through the process of loving our way through it, that's the process. We love our way through it. If you don't have an axe wound in your back, you weren't born in a third world country, you have the ability to watch this video, you're goddamn privileged, love then heals the rest. Loving your way through it is the way to fucking solve the rest of your problems and live the life you were meant to lead, not just the life some people are put in. Sometimes we think it's logic. It's logic that we're meant to live this life. Anyway, to go back into that past thing. So someone might be afraid of... So they might be afraid of losing the money, right? They might be afraid of losing the money or not getting the sale. But then they realize through this process that it's actually fucking mummy issues. It's like, oh, there was this one time when I was a kid and I wanted some food and she didn't like me when I asked for it, so now I'm afraid of asking for things. It's the realization that we tend to have is usually something we don't know. That's the fun part. It's something that we're not aware of, but once we go through the realization and we come through it and we love our way through it, we clear those goddamn pipes. The realization you have is usually like fucking ridiculous. It's not even related, or it is related. For example, I was actually going to do a video on phone addiction because I had a realization the other day when I was looking at my phone and loving my way through, because I was like, I want to spend less time on my phone. Realization, 5 a.m. realizations. I had, keyword had, because now it's past tense. Because once you have the realization, usually the thing, you move past it. As a deep fear, without realizing that I felt like not many people liked me. I felt it. And some people are always surprised. They're like, but Sharam, you're a fucking social guy. You fucking, people like you. But that's not the point. This isn't logical. It's emotional. Once we love our way through it, you are free. Anyway, so I had a deep fear that not many people actually like me. So actually, I mean, maybe they were pretending. As a result, I found solace in cartoons when I was younger. So for me, when I was younger, I'd come home and just watch cartoons. And I always had a problem with this because I always felt like I should have been studying. And then all my family had a problem with this because they felt I should have been studying. So I felt solace in cartoons and social media and movies now that I'm older. Cartoons still when I'm older. Those things, because those things tend to make that they make you feel like you like them, or they like you. Like, for example, if a TV show, if the news made you feel like they didn't like you, you're probably not going to watch the news. Not unless you're a little bit of a masochist, you know? Like, TV shows are always presented towards you, so you feel included. So this was a fear where I wanted to feel included. I just wanted to feel liked because a 1% part of me, it's not even conscious, but it was manifesting in interesting behaviors. A part of me that wasn't addressed was manifesting in this behavior that I felt like I didn't have control over if I spent time on my phone or not. Because I was like, I'm drawn to this for some reason. Why am I drawn to this? Anyway, as soon as I had that realization, it was even hard for me to remember because I moved past it. It was like, oh, okay, so now I can spend time on my phone, and now I don't have to, and I'm a bit more tolerant of situations where I'm not, because I just found there are some times where I'm really feeling down, where I spend a lot of time on it. And then there's a little fucking Apple thing which goes, oh, you spent this much time on your phone this week. And you go, I'm going to get you to 0. But you can't, because you have to text and call people. You know, not unless you're living on a mountain, you become a monk. That's life, you know? It's like learning to cut out stuff is really good. You can cut out stuff, but cutting out stuff like food, like I used to go on this crazy, like, efficient my lifestyle patterns, right? Efficient them, make them really efficient, all that sort of stuff. And so I'd try and cut out things. I'd try and cut out, like, bad habits. But there are some things you can't cut out. Like, you can't cut out eating. You have to learn to be friends with it. You have to love it, and you have to love everything through it. You have to love overeating just as much as you love undereating. You have to love being woozy sometimes. You have to love making yourself feel sick sometimes. Then you love the spectrum. Then you have the choice. So anyway, this was this video on how to deal with rejection. We've gone for a while now, and maybe your ears are bleeding with happiness. But if you did like this video, make sure to leave a like, because if you did, you make me happy. 1 like equals 1 smile on me, because I fucking check. I check. I'm like, give me them likes. Give it to me. Anyway, point of that is, if you want more videos like this and you want to keep in touch, make sure to subscribe. If you have any questions or situations you'd like, oh, but what's this thing that I should love my way through with? Comment below a question you have, you know? Because it's often not what we think. So I might do a video specifically for your question. Not guaranteeing it, but I might. I have my new website up. It's up right now. It's the best website I've ever made. I made it personally. The link is going to be in the description. It is sharamnamdarian.com. So that is my name, my full name. I'm owning it. Get used to it. And I'm going to change the YouTube channel to that. sharamnamdarian.com. SharamNamdarian. And I say that so pronounceably because I want you guys to fucking remember it. You know, I spent my life living in a hole. I called myself Harvey Hook for fucking years just to make it easier. Now you guys have to come to me. So fuck you, but in a nice way. So SharamNamdarian.com. And also on that website, there's a free audiobook, 3 Ways to Destroy Anxiety. I talk a lot about loving your way through it. If that's something you're interested in, it is the solution to fucking 90% of the problems, and the other 10% is getting the axe out of your back, because fuck, that is, like, emotional healing is not gonna fix your fucking axe in your back. You gotta pull that out first, and then deal with the rest of it, which is on the inside. And the outside will always reflect the inside. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but cliches are cliches for a fucking reason. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. You are amazing. Or are you? I don't know. Only you will be able to tell me that. And you got to own it too. The other thing is, just quickly, once you own something, like once you love your way through something, you tend to own it more, and people tend to accept it. You know, like, for example, sometimes I realize, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I say one thing, do another. That's fine. I remember my girlfriend the other day, she's like, you're being hypocritical about this. I was like, I know. And guess what? She goes, great, because I owned it. So own it, love it, be amazing, bye. Mwah.